Yashoyanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoyanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari durārādhyāt Kunja Bihari durārādhyāt Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanadhari Yashoyanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoyanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Astotarasata Shishimad ISKCON founder Acharya's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Dham Mayapur Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cha Eva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasa Tator Jayam Udirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. On this auspicious day of Ekadasi, we're reading from Srila Prabhupada's translation of the great Srimad Bhagavad Purana, Canto 9, Chapter 11, text number 10. Thank you. Iti lokād bahu-mukhād durārādhyād asaṁvidaḥ patyā bhītena sa tyaktā prāptā prācetasa-āśramam. Iti lokād bahu-mukhād durārādhyād asaṁvidaḥ patyā bhītena sa tyaktā prāptā prācetasa-āśramam. Prāptā prācetasa-āśramam. Iti lokād bahu-mukhād durārādhyād asaṁvidaḥ patyā bhītena sa tyaktā prāptā prācetasa-āśramam. Okay. Iti, thus, lokād, from persons, bahu-mukhād, who can talk nonsensically in various ways. Durārādhyāt, whom it is very difficult to stop. Asaṁvidaḥ, who are without full knowledge. Patyā, by the husband. Bhītena, being afraid. Sā, mother. Sītā. Tyaktā, was abandoned. Prāptā, went. Prācetasa-āśramam, to the hermitage of Prācetasa or Vālmīki Muni. Translation, please repeat. Śukadeva Gosvāmī said, men with a poor fund of knowledge and a heinous character speak nonsensically. Fearing such rascals, Lord Rāmacandra abandoned his wife, Sītādevī, although she was pregnant. Thus Sītādevī went to the ashram of Vālmīki Muni. So this reveals to us that even in Treta Yuga, 800,000 years ago, there were some characters who were quite rascally. What happened was, Lord Ram was incognito. He was moving around, finding out what the public thought, what his citizens thought. And one wife, she was unfaithful to the husband, and he was saying, oh, now I'm not going to protect you, you can leave my home. And he threw her out. He said, I'm not like Lord Ram, who's handpicked husband who accepted Sītā, although she was with another man, as we know his name, Ravana. Ravana, of course, was born of the Rakshasa race. And being that we're going to celebrate the inauguration of the Ayodhya Pati temple, we can speak a little bit about Lord Rama's incarnation. He appeared in Treta Yuga. As we know, Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhuvami yuge yuge ramadi murtashu kala niyamena tishtan nanavatarama kurud bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swaya samavavat paramapumanyo govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Krishna appears in millions and trillions and zillions of incarnations, of which Lord Ram is one of the prominent ones. In this verse it's described like this by Lord Brahma. So, of course, the Lord comes. The external reason is to diminish the influence of adharma and to reestablish dharma and to destroy the demons, because in this world, the ekapad vibhuti, the 1/4 of the Lord's creation, the entire creation of the Lord, there's the ekapad vibhuti. Some demons come up because of the influence of Lord Shiva's wife through the agency of the 3 modes of nature. Shri Gunamayi Bhavir Evi Sarvam Idam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhya Paramavyayam. So, although Ravana, his father was Vishrava, his grandfather was Pulasthya Muni, who was the son of Lord Brahma. He's a mind son, born from the mind of Brahma, Pulasthya Muni. His son was Vishrava, who was very, very saintly person. And so Vishrava, he had a son whose name was Vaishravana. So Vaishrava had a son named Vaishravana. And when he was born, he impressed the Devas very much. So the Devas and the Lord Brahma came and said, what benedict would you like? What boon would you like? And Vaishravana, he said, I simply want to protect the entire universe, and I want to protect the Devas. So the Devas really glorified him, and Lord Brahma, he said, I will give you a boon. You will become the treasurer of the demigods, and I will give you a domain over the south part of the universe. Because, of course, the north part of the universe, Indra, Varuna, and Yama, they ruled the other directions of the universe. So he became Kuvera. And at that time, of course, we had Sri Lanka, the golden city. And it was built by the Rakshasas. However, the Devas, they became very, strong. They were fighting against the Rakshasas, who were demoniac by nature. Rakshashim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the demoniac class of men, they're angry, they're envious, they're hateful, and they hate God. As we see in today's society, the scientists, Prabhupada preach very strongly against these atheistic scientists, of which the entire world is overwhelmed by, and they claim that there is no God. There's a famous atheist in England called Richard Dawkins, and he wrote a book called The God Delusion, and he sold millions and millions of copies. It was a New York bestseller. And then he wrote a recent book called The Blind Watchmaker, because what the scientists have discovered is this universe is very, very sophisticatedly designed and manufactured. The more they drill into the depths of the universe, into the depths of the cell, they find so much highly sophisticated, what they call bioengineering. How could it happen by some chance, by some explosion, by some primordial soup model? So Richard Dawkins said, although the universe looks like it's highly fine-tuned and highly engineered, so much bioengineering in our universe, and the cosmology is so highly fine-tuned, they say the cosmos is highly fine-tuned, it's just an illusion. So the blind watchmaker, looks like there's a watchmaker, but actually it's just the blind forces of nature. There's no God. If you say that atheism is wrong, you're either foolish or evil. Richard Dawkins, he claims that if you say there's no atheism, then you're evil. In the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Krishna says, Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate samata vritaha. Means that those who are irreligious, they claim that as religion because they're influenced by the mode of ignorance. And those, when they see religion, they feel, oh, that's very irreligious, that's dangerous. So like this, the demons, they're against the laws of God. They're against God. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam navai vidur risha napi deva nasidamukya asura manushya kuto nu vidyadara charanadaya. In the 6th canto, Lord Yamaraj, he said that religion cannot be manufactured by the gods, by the rishis, by the kinnaras, by the demons, by humans, can only be manufactured by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only He can manufacture God. Therefore, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear, Dharma projita kaitravotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastadam atru shivanam tapantrayan mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite kim vapayar ishvaraha. Sadhu anarijate cha shushubhi takshanat. That completely kicking out all so-called cheating religions which are manufactured by human beings. This Srimad Bhagavatam establishes the truth, which is, the truth is to distinguish reality from illusion. The great sage Vedavyasa has given this Srimad Bhagavatam to us. And here in the 9th canto, we're hearing about the great story of Lord Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how, in one sense, he's acting like a human. He comes and he acts like a human. Why? Because Ravana, his other name was Dashagriva. His name was Dashagriva, the son of Vaishrava. And his mother, her name was she was a Rakshashi, the daughter of a Rakshasa called Sumali. Anyway, Ravana, he performed such a great austerity that for 1,000 years he would perform a great austerity after he was born. Of course, when he was born, we hear that the clouds started pouring blood, and carnivorous animals and shrieking birds and animals were circumambulating his mother and him in the lap of his mother. These things were going on. So even at his birth, things were very inauspicious. So he performed great austerities, and every 1,000 years, he would cut one of his 10 heads off. And when he was about to cut the 10th head off, Lord Brahma came and said, no, you have too much austerity. He said, what boon do you want? What can I do for you? Why are you performing these great austerities for thousands of years? this Rakshasa Ravana performed these great austerities. Dashagriva, the 10-necked demon. And he said, I want immortality. Brahma said, Abrahma bhuvana loka. I don't have mortality. I die, every being dies. He said, okay then, give me immortality against the devas, immortality against the yakshas, like this he went on and on. Give me immunity against all these creatures. And then he thought about humans, and he thought, humans are puny. I'm not even going to ask for a boon to be protected against humans. Who are the humans? In this way, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, of gambling, I'm the greatest of cheats. So Lord Ram cheats him by coming as a human. So then his brother Kumbhakarna was born after him, and he was also, at the time of his birth, he started growing into a massive giant. He was so huge he could eat 20 elephants at one sitting. Huge, big giant. And he also performed amazing austerities. He would sit in the Himalayas all winter long, in the water, in the lake, in the ice. And in the summer, he would sit surrounded by fires and perform great austerities for thousands of years. And so he also approached Brahma. And Brahma said, what boon would you like? But then the devas came to Brahma. He said, no, he's too powerful. You got to trick him somehow, do something. So then they requested a Sarasvati, goddess of knowledge, to trick him. So she entered into the mouth of Kumbhakarna. And when Brahma said, what boon would you like? Kumbhakarna, by the power of Sarasvati, what came out of his mouth was, she tongue-tied him. He said, I want to sleep. I just want to sleep a lot. So when he heard this, he thought, what? How did that come out of my mouth? So the devas were so satisfied. And so Kumbhakarna, he would sleep 364 days, and he would only be awake for one day in a year. He was a massive demon. Anyway, Suparnika was also born. She performed great austerities also. Extremely ugly person. And the fourth son of Vaishrava was very, very pious, Vibhushana. And when Lord Brahma asked him, okay, you've done great austerities also, what would you like? He said, I wish to become constantly remembrance of Lord Vishnu's holy name and his lotus feet. Even in great times of trials and tribulations, never let me forget Lord Vishnu. So he's a great devotee of the Lord, for which Ravana really hated. So Ravana was very mischievous. Tanaham, how they go? Namam duskritina mudha. He was a miscreant, very mischievous person. And he would roam around the universe challenging. One time he was going past Mount Kailash, and Nandi the bull told him, stop right now. You're not allowed to come by here. This is Lord Shiva's abode. And Ravana just laughed at him, and with his 20 arms, he picked up the mountain Kailash. And of course, Lord Shiva was laughing. He's the most powerful Mahadev. And with his big toe, he pressed down on Ravana. And Ravana was pinned down by the mountain. Ravana started roaring like a lion. And Shiva said, oh, you got a great voice. So Lord Shiva was very pleased by Ravana, and he released him. He said, you have a wonderful voice. So then Ravana, such a demon, he cut one of his heads off, and he took one of his arms, cut it off, and he produced a veena, and the string of the veena was some part of his intestines. and he made a string. And he started singing for Lord Shiva, and he became a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So we know that Lord Brahma also had given him a boon, that any time his heads were cut off or his arms, they would simply shoot back up. As soon as someone cut his head off, ping, it would show up again. The secret of this was that Lord Brahma injected immortal nectar within his heart. So Ravana, he amassed a massive army of Rakshasas, thousands and thousands of Rakshasas from the netherworld. And his grandfather, Sumali, you must know the story better than me, born in India. His grandfather always wanted to occupy Sri Lanka, but it was occupied by Kubera, the treasurer of the planets, of the heavens, of the devas. So Sumali asked Ravana to attack Kubera, which he did. And Kubera actually ran off and went hiding in the Himalayas. And Ravana occupied Sri Lanka with all the Rakshasas, the golden city of Sri Lanka. And so in this way he actually terrorized all the devas who went into hiding. Even Lord Indra went into hiding. Varuna, Vayu, they all went into hiding. While Ravana was terrorizing the entire planet, the entire universe, things were going on like this. So, of course, Lord Vishnu appeared to the devas. When they're in trouble, they approach Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu said, never mind, I'm going to incarnate as a human being. So this is where the story starts, where Lord Ram takes birth in the Sun dynasty, and he appears in Ayodhya. Then we know Kaikeyi has him banished to the forest. There's a side story also. There was a beautiful woman in a forest. Her name was Ramba. You know about this? So Ravana was wandering in this forest, and he saw this beautiful woman. She was an ascetic. She had long dreadlocks. She was performing great asceticism. She was sitting there performing yagyas with fire and so on. Ravana was amazed by her because Ravana, although he's very powerful, he has one little problem. It's called lust. He couldn't control his lust. He actually raped a woman one time. And it was a relative of his. She was the wife of Nala Kuvera, the son of Kuvera. And Kuvera is the half-brother of Ravana. So when Nala Kuvera heard that he had raped his wife, he cursed Ravana that if you ever touch a woman again against her will, your heads will split into 1,000,000 pieces. So he got this curse on him. Anyway, he approached this ascetic woman, very beautiful woman in the forest named Ramba, and he grabbed her, but by her mystic power, he grabbed her hair, she released herself from his grasp, and she jumped into the fire and she said, she gave up her body, but before she did, she said, I will return. I will return and I will be the cause of your death. So she took birth in the next life as Sītā. Side story. So Sītā was born to destroy the Rakshasas. So Lord Rama is in the forest, in the Tapovan with Sītā, and we know that Suparnaka, Lakshman cut her nose and ears off. She was completely enthralled or amazed by the beauty of Ram, and she wanted him as her husband. And she said, oh, who's this Sītā? She's so skinny. Look at me, I've got these big arms. She was a Rakshashi. She had really big arms, big ears. She was massive. She had so many far-out hairstyle. She said, look at me, I'm so beautiful. Why are you bothering this little skinny little girl, Sītā? So she attacked Sītā, and of course, Lakshman cut her ears and nose off. And she went to her brothers, 14,000 Rakshasas, and she said, what are you doing? There's this human here in the forest, and look at what he's done to me, you know? What are you going to do about it? So these 14,000 Rakshasas amassed their armies and they attacked Lord Ram. But he had a very special arrows. He was given these arrows by Agastya Muni. And he wiped out the entire host of the Rakshasas with his arrows. So then Suparnika escaped and she went to Ravana. And she knew that Ravana has a weakness for women. Of course, the entire world is, as Kapiladeva says, Balavan pasyamaya strimayo jainodisham Bruvi jimbrena kevalam Yat karoti pada krantam. Even Napoleon, he conquered all directions. The Prophet said he went home to Josephine. He was conquered by the rising of her eyebrows and the tinkling of her ankle bells. So Kapiladeva tells his mother, Devayuti, just see the power of my mind in the form of woman. And Prabhupada says, just like Cleopatra, she conquered Antony, you know, just by her beauty. So Ravana had this weakness. And Suparnika appealed to his weakness. This woman is stunning. You have to marry her. No. So she convinced Ravana to go and kidnap Sītā. Big mistake. So Ravana, first of all, he went to Maricha, the demon Rakshasa Maricha. He said, look, you know, you got to help me conquer this human. His name is Ram. He seems to have some powers. And Maricha said, oh, Ram, no. I don't want to deal with Ram. One time Maricha got into a fight with Ram when Vishwamitra took Ram and Lakshman into the forest to get rid of the Rakshasas who were harassing and causing all kinds of trouble to the great sages in the forest. And Maricha was there, and Lord Ram shot him with an arrow and threw him 80 miles 10 yojanas into the air. So Maricha said, oh, he's too powerful, I don't want to deal with him. So Ravana said, well, you have a choice. Either Ram will kill you or I'll kill you and eat you. So okay. So then Maricha came as a beautiful deer and distracted Lord Ram. Ram ran off to get the deer for Sītā. Sītā was so enamored by this beautiful deer running back and forth. And then Lakshman was there, and Sītā said, why don't you help Ram? Because when Ram shot the deer, it said, Lakshman, help! So this was a scam by the deer. And so Sītā was saying, you should help him. Why are you attached to me? What's going on? So then Lakshman drew a circle of fire and told her, don't go past the circle. However, Ravana disguised himself as a sadhu. We know that she came out of the circle to serve him some foodstuffs, and he kidnapped her. However, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he traveled in South India, he came to meet a Brahmin. And the Brahmin showed him that actually Agni, the god of fire, had taken Sītā and hid her and given Maya Sītā. So this is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, South Indian tour of Lord Chaitanya. So of course, who can touch the real goddess of fortune except Lord Narayan? So Jatayu also tried to intercept Ravana, destroyed his chariot, killed his donkeys, crashed to the ground, and they were fighting and fighting for many days. But Jatayu was very, very old friend of Dasharatha and very great devotee of Lord Ram. So eventually Ravana cut his wings off and his legs, and poor Jatayu was lying there. As Sītā was going through the air with Ravana, she took her jewelry off. She saw some vanaras, some monkeys, and she threw the jewelry down there, and the monkeys got the jewelry. And they took her back to his kingdom, where she was kept in the beautiful gardens. Anyone know the name of the gardens? Ashoka Gardens. Ashoka trees. Pardon? Okay. So he was cursed. Ravana was cursed that his heads would split open if he touched her, an unwilling woman. So he knew that he couldn't, rape her or force her. So he gave her 1 year to surrender. If you don't surrender in 1 year, you'll become my meal, he said to her. So the story goes on that Ram meets with the monkeys, and they come to the ocean, the bottom of India, and they build a beautiful big road, very wide road, 100 yojanas long and 10 yojanas wide. The monkeys built this, and Lord Ram made the stones all float. So the great battle began. And Ravana, he was sitting there. I mean, Ravana, he had everything that a materialist would want. He had so much wealth. Prabhupada said it's said that he had a tunnel from Brazil in the Amazon, where I was born, near the Amazon. There's lots of gold everywhere, lots of gold in Brazil. And Prabhupada was mentioning that it's said that Ravana was bringing gold in from Brazil, and his whole city was made of gold. And he was surrounded by so many concubines, apsaras, and he had a very wonderful wife who was actually a vegetarian and a devotee. Her name was Mandari, I think. Mandori, sorry. Mandohari. Yeah, and she was very pious, very loyal, very virtuous. Chanika Pandit says, Strinam Rupam Pativratam. He says that the beauty of a woman is her loyalty to her husband. Strinam Rupam Pativratam. So she was extremely loyal to her husband, very virtuous. And still he wanted more and more, never satisfied. Dusparin and Alenacha, lust is never satisfied. So the battles were going on, and Ravana's generals were being killed one after another. And then we know that Lakshman killed Indrajit. Kumbhakarna, they had to wake him up. They were just beating him and punishing him, and he wouldn't wake up. But finally they brought buckets of blood, put it near his nose. So finally he woke up, and he went into battle, and he's wiping out all these monkey army of monkeys. He was just mowing them down like a lawnmower. But finally he was killed. Ram killed him? I think so. Ram or? Yeah. So then Ravana was left. Indrajit was killed by Lakshman. And, Indrajit was very powerful. I mean, Indrajit, he actually went to war with Lord Indra and defeated Lord Indra. But somehow Lakshman was able to kill him. So Ravana finally went off to fight against Lord Ram. And every time Ram would cut his heads off, his heads would pop back up. Every time he cut his arms off, his arms would pop back out. He seemed to be immortal. And by that time, Ravana had had a falling out with his brother Bibhishan. Bibhishan had told him, "You're just a coward, you're a rascal, you've stolen another man's wife, you're the lowest of the low, you're like a crow that has stolen, the offerings at the sacrificial arena." Like that, he was just, admonishing him. So Ravana, he said, "Guards, take this Bibhishan and kill him." And then the ministers of Ravana said, "Oh, you can't kill your brother. What are you doing?" So he banished him, and Bibhishana went and took shelter of Lord Ram. And so when the war was going on, the conflict was going on between Ram and Ravana, Bibhishana whispered in Rama's ear. He said, "In the heart of Ravana is immortal nectar injected there by Lord Brahma. And that's what's the secret of his head's keeping to pop up. And so you'll have to pierce his heart with this special arrow." So this arrow was given to him by Agastya Muni. And he chanted the mantras, invoked the mantras, and released the arrow. And it pierced through the mountain-like, it said, the mountain-like chest of Ravana. It was like a mountain. And struck him in through the heart. And all that immortal nectar spilt out. And Ravana went, "Ram!" and died. Crashed to the ground. Jai! Shri Ram ki Jai. Lakshman, Sītā, Hanuman, Ram ki Jai. So this is a wonderful story. The lessons given in the Ramayana is that dukkhalayam shashvatam. In this world, there's nothing but temporality and misery. Mamupecha punar janma dukkhalayam shashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanas samsadim paramam gati. 8th chapter. Krishna's telling Arjuna, here Ram is showing, even he's a prince, he's the crown prince, so many problems. There's envy, there's lust, there's greed, there's jealousy, there's harshness, there's conceit, there's arrogance, there's all these different contaminations within the world that we live in. And our business is to remember the Lord. As Rupa Goswāmī says, the golden rule, always remember the Lord and never forget the Lord. 24 hours a day, just somehow or other remember the Lord. Whether you're doing deity worship, cooking, preaching, chanting the holy names, always remember the Lord, never forget the Lord. So this was the lesson given. That, of course, many lessons are given about tolerance and fortitude, right? These are the qualities of a devotee. Lord Ram was exemplifying a virtuous king who would always support virtue, totally unselfishly, and so on. Many lessons are being given in the Ram Leela for human society. Unfortunately, nowadays, Prabhupada said that 100 years ago, in the villages, every night, no TV. Ram Leela, all over India, all the thousands of villages, Ram Leela, and the drama of Ram Leela. I remember when I lived in Delhi, few years ago, 83. we'd go and see the Ram Leela every year. They'd have big Ram Leela for like 1 week, and it was all, you know, dancing and costumes and the music and the whole beautiful culture was being presented. It was very beautiful.
We're going to have Ram Leela tomorrow night here at Courtyard.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Dancing? Dance? Beautiful. What time?
4 to 6.
What time?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. I'll be there.
Ram Leela Key.
Do I get a ticket?
Yeah, I got a specially priced one for you.
Thank you. Box office. So these are things that we were on patyā in the 80s going through India. And we noticed, like, introduction of Bollywood. In the little villages, they'd have one screen, and westernization was there. Like, even in we were in remote villages in Andhra Pradesh and these places, but we saw how they were being influenced by Kali Yuga here in India. They call it westernization. It's actually demonization. They want to enjoy the opulence that they see in the West, but they don't know it comes along with a lot of negatives, crime, all kinds of things, social fabric destroyed, mental health problems, all these things are going on. I mean, you're from New York or you got, New York. A lot of crime. People, you're coming into New York and you think it's going to be like the heavenly planets. It's just total chaos, madness. So, or any Western city actually, it's everyone's trying to imitate, the West. The Kali Yuga were influenced by this. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma, sinful activities, madness. Nunam pramata, mad for sense pleasure, material opulence, material comforts, no happiness, no satisfaction, unfortunately. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma, yad indriya pritya aprinoti. Prahlad Maharaj, right? You're controlled by your senses, no happiness. You're trying really hard. Thank you very much. I'm going to quit. I'm sorry if I took overtime, ran over. Jai, Hare Krishna. Gosh Prabhupada.
Before breakfast, we're talking about how he cut yourself in the intestine.
Prepare you for Ekadasi.